10 million sign-ups in 7 hours and a staggering 70 million users after just one day. That's how many people around the world have already downloaded the new Meta app called Threads this past week. Spotting a gap by what seems to be a floundering Twitter, who knows, and its new owner, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, has decided that connecting a text-based app to your Instagram account would appeal to many social media users. But don't take my word for it. What do I know? Let's find out more from somebody far more qualified than I am, Nafisa Akabor from recharge.co.za, who's here for our regular conversation about all things tech and innovation. Nafisa, thank you so much for joining us. So, look, I'm not an early adopter for most things, especially when it comes to social media apps, because it's like, please don't give me one more account that I need to look at and stare at for far too long every day. You've gone down the Threads hole. What did you find on your first user experience?
So because Threads is owned by Instagram, it's made by Instagram, the same team, there was some familiarity about it, and just the user experience and the interface, it felt slick to me. Sure, there are bugs and niggles, but for launching so quickly after Twitter's issues, I did think it was quite impressive what they did, and it just feels like a nicer space. But I do feel some of the people you follow on Instagram are not the same people you tend to follow on Threads, because it's more text-based, more conversation. The people who are good at photography and multimedia, they may not be good at, you know, the tech stuff,
yes,
like you would find on Twitter.
So, I find that the different social media apps for me are different spaces. Instagram is my warm and fuzzy space where, you know, it's far more welcoming. There's lovely multimedia videos that make you cry or laugh and funny memes, and it's your friends and that kind of thing. Twitter for me is more, there's lots of angry people there having a go at each other. It's more about news, what's happening immediately. It's two completely different worlds for me. But you've got a feeling that the fact that it's connected to Instagram somehow is a plus. Tell me why you think so.
I think in terms of growing a user base, right? Because I joined Blue Sky, I joined a few others. It's very lonely when you don't have your own people there, you know? It's full of Americans, for example, on Blue Sky. They limit the signups. You're there, you're speaking to yourself. It's not nice. So with the fact that it's tied to Instagram, it means there is a lot of South Africans already on it. People within your circles, whoever interacts with your friends, you see them on your Discover feed. So I think there's a lot. They took a big risk by putting the Discover feed, not the people you follow. So it's just an algorithm showing you things you might be interested in. But the people you follow apparently will be coming a dedicated feed for that. But for now, I think it can be messy if you're not familiar with it. But I think it's just inciting different conversations. You can hop in and join a conversation.
But many people are saying it's because Twitter's become a little bit stale. People don't want to be angry all the time. And with the changes that have come, and they've come thick and fast, I mean, for one thing, I'm like, I don't follow this person. Why am I seeing the tweets of so many people that I do not follow? That Elon Musk and the decisions that this team of his has taken is it's taken too much of the control away from Twitter users. And then this latest one being the cap that they've put on how many tweets you can see, almost being the final straw, and in Mark Zuckerberg sweeps, almost with perfect timing, even though I'm sure they've been working on Threads for quite some time. What kind of impact do you think this is going to have on Twitter? Is it the final straw? Or do you think it's going to be things like people always threaten to boycott or leave, but they never really do? They kind of hang about and see what's going to happen next.
I think there's huge potential, and as I mentioned earlier, it's the numbers and the user base. And I mean, last night it was 70 million. Who knows what the figures are like now? But it is on track to becoming the fastest downloaded app. ChatGPT was holding that title for 100 million in 2 months. But Threads is almost there. So I think they have the numbers, and that's what's going to make it successful.
And do you think the decisions made by Twitter now, I mean, they say there were various reasons for them perhaps now putting this cap on how many tweets you can see to do with data scraping and that kind of thing. Do you think that they can recover?
I don't think so, because judging from my own little bubble on my feed, it's very dead. The last 2 days have been quite empty. It's like a ghost town. I think people have already given up on it.
Goodness me. Okay, so it's an eye. We can keep an eye, continue to keep an eye on it. It is like sort of give me the popcorn and let's see what happens next in the world of social media. But there's been a lot happening in the world of electric vehicles, and you've had front row seats to the launches of two major Chinese entrants into the world of electric vehicles here in South Africa. Let's start with the GWM Aura. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly. You got to drive one of those cars, and it's one of the cheapest electric vehicles. EV, as you've taught me now, is called for short. Tell me why you think this is going to have make some kind of inroads into the South African market. We're going to start looking at pictures now as well.
It's because electric cars are so expensive, they don't appeal to mass market, and it's still, even though it's 716,000, it is quite a substantial amount, but it opens a new bracket, and it's also it's a car full of tech. It's going to appeal to the younger crowd, I would say, who's into technology and wants everything connected and wants the car to do a whole bunch of cool things. It was wonderful to get to drive the car, although it hasn't launched. It's one of the cars that are coming this year. Yeah, I think that with the self-parking and...
Now we're just looking at somebody self-parking. He's holding his hands up off the steering wheel, and this car is moving. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Did you experience that?
I took the video. The guy at GWM did the demo.
Yes.
I have experienced it on a BMW, but I think it's incredible for tight spaces. It's a car suited for urban and city driving, so it might be, it's quite a nifty feature. But like I said, it's going to appeal to those who are into technology, who's going to just adapt to this thing and want to do it immediately versus not knowing how.
Now we're showing pictures now. We've moved swiftly along. A beautiful picture of this fancy car in front of the Union buildings, and that's the BYD, the Build Your Dreams, the new electric vehicle brand that's launched in South Africa. Tell us about that.
So that's a very interesting brand. It's the first electric vehicle brand in SA. It's one of China's biggest brands, Build Your Dreams, known as BYD. So they're bringing the Atto 3 SUV to South Africa this year. They just launched, they had a brand launch recently. And so what's interesting about their SUV is that it's got a vehicle to load feature where you can plug the power from the car into your home. And we're living in a load shedding world where, you know, a lot of these solar solutions are expensive. So if you want to be a bit double up and just maybe think, let me buy a car that can do the same, that's what it's going to entail. And if you like camping, if you like road trips, you can just like plug your coffee machine, your hairdryer on the go, anywhere.
That's insane. Do you think with the entry of these two players into the South African market, the Chinese doing what the Chinese do? Take the technology that is being used already. It's being priced out of many people's brackets for various reasons, marketing, brand, aspirational marketing, whatever, call it what you will. And in the Chinese swoop, would say, but listen, let's make it a little bit more accessible. Do you think we're going to see more of an uptake for electric vehicles in South Africa because of these two players, or players like these?
I think definitely. It's similar to what I saw in the smartphone space a few years ago with the likes of Huawei, Xiaomi, Oppo. They do bring in cheaper technology at half the price of what you're getting. So, and South Africans want to know what value for money they're getting. Like, if I'm paying this much, what am I getting? So with these Chinese vehicles, you are getting a lot of tech. If you think about the self-parking feature for 16,000, that's good value. You're getting such a high-end feature. So I think the features are going to, combined with the price, will definitely be a key to considering them and growing the space.
Well, if you want to find out more and find out about Nafisa's first-hand experience with these very cool-looking new cars, do go onto a website. It's called recharged.co.za. Nafisa, thank you so much for your time. As always, can't wait to find out what more exciting and interesting things you come and tell us about in 2 weeks' time when you'll join us again. We thank you for your time here on the Saturday edition of Newslink.